Welcome everyone to our 3-year anniversary of the Freddie and Alyssa show. We are going to start off with our sponsor today.
Yes, today's episode is brought to you by Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Now offering a variety of easy to follow meal plans for every lifestyle like keto, plant-powered, and more. I even looked too, and they had carb conscious, which I think you were looking at when we were picking it.
Yes.
And I wanted to do the balanced living.
And I think you've kind of talked me into it because there's times that I've done keto, paleo, or like the low carb, which I think might like to mix that in would be good.
Sure.
But I think the balanced living is what I've been looking for my entire life. You can prepare these meals in 20, 30 minutes and they give you all the ingredients, which I really like because me going to the grocery store is just a huge
Hot
task.
Mess Express.
So I like that it'll all be here, and then Florida Fred can take his cooking to the next level. So I'm excited. We were looking through them, and I think the first thing I'm going to try is the Cuban chicken.
Chimichurri.
Yeah, doesn't that sound good?
That sounds so good. I also looked the lemon butter tilapia.
Okay.
And there was like a chicken with peanut sauce. You know, I love peanut sauce. So I can't wait to get those. And you're more the chef than I am. So you can kind of like guide me through it, oversee it. Greenchef.com if you guys want to check them out.
We're going to start the healthy living and, well, it's summer, but it'll be nice to have some good meals. Because even if you order healthy food from like a restaurant, it still seems like it's cooked in butter and oil, and you still feel locked up. So I'm looking forward to some fresh meals mixed in for the balanced living. So
keep an eye out on our stories.
Yeah, we'll see what Florida Fred's going to cook up with the help of Green Chef. So thank you, Green Chef, for sponsoring this episode. This is a big episode for us.
It's a huge episode for us, babe.
It doesn't feel like it's been 3 years since we've started this.
How?
I don't know. I'm really happy that you pushed us to get started in 2017. I think it kind of gave us a little advantage in the sense of, like, I hate feeling like the person who's jumping on the bandwagon.
Right.
I really love that we got started before it got really popular to have a podcast, and we kind of work through our kinks. Mm-hmm. And I remember we used to go live in the living room, and then we did audio for a little bit. And then so I feel like we've done this in a bunch of seasons, but I think the most rewarding thing is, and this is something that people who post content on Instagram or other platforms, which is amazing. We still build a solid foundation, but there's something about having conversation, deep conversation, that allows you to connect with an audience on a deeper level. Sure. And the community that we're building and the comments that we're getting, like, people really know us. I would even bet to say that a lot of our supporters over the years who have tuned in, even 50% of the time, probably know us better than some of the closest people in our life. Because you know how you kind of catch up with friends every like 6 months or something, or if there's someone you're texting, but we're having like deep, honest conversations that people are in on. So I think that's been the most rewarding thing for me, is the connection with all of you. So I want to thank you for going on this journey. We're just getting started. I think podcasting is going to be around forever. And like we said in our last episode, I look at this as a video diary. So on a selfish level, I also like putting it out there because it's saved forever. And we can always look back at the journey. And what a year to have put up so many podcasts, because it was probably the craziest year in our lives. I hope this is the craziest year. And that we want the world to heal and open up, and we all like sing and dance in the streets together, and everyone's happy. And so hopefully we can move forward. But let me just do the opening real quick.
Do the opening, baby.
And,
Cue it up.
And so welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa show, episode 175, our 3-year anniversary. If you are on YouTube, subscribe, like, follow, Facebook.
You got this,
follow.
3 years.
Isn't it weird I can't do it unless it's word
exactly,
perfect?
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa show. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. If you're watching on Facebook, follow. If you're listening on a platform like iTunes, hello out there. If you think we deserve a 5-star review, we'd love to get one of those. We've been putting up content now for almost 4 years. Woo. And we couldn't do it without all of you. So thank you for your support. It's just burned in now.
Do you know what's very crazy? I don't think I've ever once done an opening.
I think I've been crushing it, and we just left it to me. Would you like to try an opening?
No, I would not. Maybe on the 176th episode.
You heard it here. And people we're going to be really tough on you.
Oh gosh, well that's what makes me nervous.
That's what
you
we
would
have
think
to do.
Though, I've heard it 175 times. I think I might be able. You could like maybe pass the baton. Maybe I'll pass it right back.
We actually at one point, do you remember we used to go like today we have Camila Banus on the show, and this is the Freddie and Alyssa show, and then there'd be like a thing, and then we'd come back into it. We tried to do it more that way.
Do you remember, too, our very first music opening that we used? We've got some fresh talent you ain't never heard before. 1, 2, 3, listen. Do, 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 do,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we used that for probably like 40 episodes, maybe 50.
Wow.
Yeah, if y'all go back to the very first, handful of episodes.
Well, here's a little behind the scenes, and this is, as much as, we're learning a lot about podcasting and content online, there's still a lot of legalities, copyright issues, and there's also just like when you build this book of business, you become very protective because every single minute, every single hour, the book of business is what is super valuable, because that's the difference. If someone starts a new YouTube channel and you only have 3 videos, if someone finds one of those videos interesting, they can only spend an hour on your website. Our YouTube, I think we have so much content at this point that I don't think anyone could just find us today and watch it all.
No.
So, but it's kind of like Netflix. Like, you wouldn't continue to subscribe for $15 a month to Netflix if you watched the 4 movies on there.
Right.
Netflix has so much that you feel it's valuable.
Sure.
So my whole point to this is that we're really picky on music that we pick, things that we talk about, because we don't ever want to create any sort of like copyright issue or anything. So there were times I was pulling music, and even that one, I knew I got it off a site that was royalty free, meaning that we could use it. But I was like, if we keep using this and that license runs out in 2 years, and then they copyright strike every one of our episodes, then your whole book of business would be demonetized. So I was always picky. So as we got bigger and we actually started to build a business out of this, I didn't want to risk any music running out of royalty free in the licensing. So I never put music on the YouTube or Facebook portion.
So that's why you changed the opening.
Yes. So just the end, we'll do a little like 10 seconds, which isn't a big deal. But at the beginning of the video, if it has a lot in there, because even in our engagement video, we got flagged for a portion of the music. And YouTube has implemented a new system. That's why I love YouTube, where you can edit out, without losing your video, the music that was copywritten. So it made the video seem a little strange, because in the middle,
Only to you, though, probably.
I mean, it's kind of bad. But we didn't have to take it down, because that video has like 80,000 views. It's, it's generating income. And luckily, but I think back in the day, before YouTube became what it is, like maybe even like 5-10 years ago, if there was an issue, the whole video had to be taken down. So you'd lose everything that you built. So I've just been extremely picky, because we don't have like a legal team. I don't have expertise in all of that. So I keep it very simple. I go, as long as we have original content and that we're not using anything like copywritten in all the music, we're very, very,
Yeah.
But my whole point is, I don't mind taking a risk if you and I go to the pumpkin patch and I put music, and then God forbid in 2 years, they're like, you have to take that video down. It's one video.
Yeah.
It's a disaster if I put the opening on every podcast, and then in 2 years, so then every podcast we've done needs to be removed. So that's why I don't put music with our podcast. But if a vlog, if you end up having to take it down in 2 years, it's one video, not your entire book of business. So that's the behind the scenes of that.
Got that. Well, what's interesting is we had a copyright issue on Facebook, which is obviously different than YouTube, on our wedding video. There was music in it that you said you actually know you purchased from a royalty website.
Yeah.
It still flagged it.
Well, it was fine on YouTube because we owned it, and they flagged it, and we lost thousands and thousands of dollars.
Only us.
By a mistake. And I wrote in, and they go, and they're like, it's going to take like 7 to 10 days. I'm like, it's getting 150,000 views a day.
The wedding video got like 1.2 million views. There's no monetization on it.
Our first...
Big viral on Facebook.
And we planned the whole wedding knowing that there's a potential of a virality on a wedding video, especially during these times. We just thought like, this is going to be great. So going into it, we had hopes that we could clear 1 million, because this could be a great start.
1 million views.
1 million views.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, 1 million views, because it could really set us up great for the year, give us some cash to be able to because we put most of it back into the business because we want to continue to grow. And to our belief, we opened up the next day and it was starting to go viral, and then it was flagged, so there was no monetization. So,
but you own that music.
Yeah, but there's nothing we could do. But here's the thing: even if they allow it today, it's stopped. I mean, people are still going to trickle in, but it's not going viral anymore. It only went viral for the 10 days. there is no way to recoup that, because the whole point of how you make money on the video is that there would be an advertiser, like Coca-Cola, for an example, would have chimed in 1 minute into our wedding video. And when the viewer sees that, that counts as a paid, ad.
Yeah.
But there was no ads because Facebook goes, this is a copywritten song. So for the whole time, there was no ads to be run. So even if it was a mistake, all you can get is a sorry for your inconvenience. It wasn't like they don't owe me the money. There was no advertisers who ran.
Yeah.
So we just missed out on the first million viewed video in 4 years of posting. That's like really big money, like thousands of dollars. So that was an interesting way to start the year. But we had the royalty-free music, but it was just a mistake. And I don't give them too much crap on it because there is a billion videos being uploaded every day. There's a lot of things that they have to, the algorithms can only catch so many things.
Yeah, of course.
And they even gave me a warning at some point, but I was just like so in the mode. They were like, oh, this song, is it copywritten? And I was like, no, because we owned it. But
Right.
I think I chose the wrong thing. But it was the day after our wedding. Everyone was, like we were enjoying the day and we were watching the views go up. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And I didn't look into it enough, so it was my fault. But I forget why we even talked about that.
Well,
but, yeah.
you know what's funny, speaking about Facebook and our wedding? So my parents came over last weekend and it was really cool. We had like this great seafood night, and at the very end of the night, my dad and I had our father-daughter dance that obviously we wanted to do at the wedding, but due to the circumstances, he couldn't do it because he was in New Jersey. I was in Orlando, Florida. So we did it virtually. And we always said, we're going to get that dance. And we finally got it last weekend. So my mom is recording like this great video of my dad and I. Like, we're just really in the moment feeling it. Our song is unforgettable. And we've always sang that to each other growing up. So we're sitting here dancing, she's recording. She goes, oh, I can't wait to post this to Facebook, because so many people were, on this journey with us and saw the virtual video and the virtual dance, and everyone wanted to see the actual real one. So my mom's so excited. She posts it, and all of a sudden, all the comments come in, and they're like, there's no sound. There's no sound. Where's the music? And Facebook flagged it. Because
she doesn't own Unforgettable.
No, she does not own Unforgettable. So it's just funny how that kind of stuff works, because music it's very interesting on Facebook.
I think the owner of the music or of the copyrighted content has an option to pick. And even we do. So we can look, like if somebody like ripped one of our podcasts and re-uploaded it on their website, we would get notified because the algorithm picked up that a duplicate. So our clips channel, I get notified because the algorithm picks up that this has been reposted, a portion of it. And I can either let it go, which I am because it's our thing,
Right.
or I can flag, report, or there's all these options. So there's a lot of companies who own songs that can look on YouTube anyway and go, oh, this is in their wedding video. They're getting a lot of views and I'm not getting paid. I want my song out, or I want to be the one in charge of the monetization. So I believe they still do this, where they don't flag you, copyright strike you, or nothing happens, but the ads that run on your video with their music, their company and monetization structure gets paid, not you. But you're allowed to keep your song up there, and millions of people can watch it, but the person who owns the song that's in it for 30 seconds is getting all the revenue, not us, the creative. Or they can strike it and mute it like they did on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I don't know Facebook's back end, to be honest. I've spent more time on YouTube. But there's this, for anyone who's curious. I know this is like all the nerdy stuff that I like, but that's a learning experience of like all the ins and outs of how you also have to be careful, because if you get 3 copyright strikes, they suspend your account.
Oh, that's scary.
I look at it as like, imagine if somebody, took a clip from our podcast and played like a minute clip.
Yeah.
And it was getting all these views. I look at it as we're getting free advertising. If someone's going to take a clip from our podcast and put it on like their news show or whatever it may be, I look at it as free advertisement. But if they did take like a 10-minute clip and we're just playing it on their channel, then it just seems like you're just making money off of our work.
Right.
So I think it's the same thing with music, is that there's some music that you can get away with for 15 seconds, and they probably feel the same way. Or you can, even do little clips that nothing will be picked up and people let go. Like if we all of a sudden cut to Kevin McAllister going, ah,
Yeah.
that's not ours.
Home Alone.
But if you do 3 seconds of it, I guess no one flags it. So so anytime you research any of it, everyone basically says, it's then again, if you get 1,700 views or 20,000 views, people probably don't care. If it becomes a 22 million viewed video and someone makes $400,000 on it, and the people who own might want it. So it's just you kind of live in fear doing this is the whole point. You don't know what's right or what's wrong. You're just very and we're also not big enough, and that's why we've been trying to get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, because you then get a YouTube admin. Mm-hmm. And it would be so nice to talk to somebody at YouTube to go, hey, we've hit the 100K. Now we qualify to speak to somebody at YouTube so that we can make sure that this is good. So that was always one of our goals. I was like, I just want to get to 100K so that we can kind of get that safety net of having someone in YouTube for God forbid if anything goes wrong.
Right.
So that was one of the biggest reasons that we're like hustling towards that 100K, because I'm like, I just want to get that contact.
Well, it'd be nice though, because sometimes even with Facebook, you have all these questions all the time, and there's really no one there that you can reach out to.
You are if you're a big creator.
Well, yeah. I guess we're not.
Well, no. I mean, I'm sure there's people and lawyers and teams. I mean, there's a lot of people in the political sphere too that are just battling with these companies 24/7 because you have these big personalities and you have 20,000 angry people reporting those videos, and so it's just this huge mess. They're probably spending so much time on these things. That's why we just keep it, friendly.
Yeah.
And it's also it's kind of crappy too, though, that there's a lot of things that I feel like I want to touch on, but we're at a position where we can't afford to, risk being demonetized or suspended because we have no one to talk to be able to do that. So we have to stay within, like, not even like on the line. Like, we stay so straight. That's why we cut out the swearing. Like, we just don't want anything that's going to, so it does keep us in a box a little bit, but that's why once we get bigger and we have more connections, you can speak more freely because you have help.
And didn't you say too that there were like a bunch of, I want to say it was political YouTubers that all got their stuff taken down like last year, obviously when we were in the thick of it?
No, I mean, it's
I thought they took them off of YouTube.
I don't think people lost it. They battled and people got to keep their YouTubes, but they get demonetized. So these are creators that are making, so for instance, for the audience to know, depending on your content, if you do 1 million views on YouTube, that would be about, let's see, hold on one second. Let's see, 550, 500, 5,000. So I would say on average, anyone who does 1 million views on YouTube will make, after everything, about $5,000 to $7,000 per million views. Some creators who are in the finance or real estate or in makeup, they do $30,000 per million because of what they're talking about, and different advertisers come up on that. Hey, baby. And so if you have these big accounts that are putting up a video every day, and they are getting 800,000, 1.2 million, 500,000 every day, that is $5,000 to $10,000 a day that is being demonetized. Dang. So a lot of these people then just use the platform, since they won't allow advertising, or advertisers won't mess with them, or they're demonetized. That's why they do a separate website, which is like a Patreon, or they build their own website where people basically say, hey, we're going to use this platform as a net to share this, but then come over to our company and spend $10, $20 a month to get full access to everything. So people are trying to build that out, but that's what's going on in the whole content world right now. Is who's responsible for the misinformation, and who sets those guidelines? Because, if you even want to use the vaccine as an example, there are doctors who are saying that everyone needs to get this vaccine, pregnant women, everybody, it's fine. Then there's other doctors who are like, no.
Right.
And someone has to make a decision on content, even though, so you're going to say these 10,000 doctors who say don't get the vaccine just aren't valid? Why are those 10,000 doctors not valid if they go against the grain of the most of them? So these content platforms are trying to figure out, well, what's misinformation, what's dangerous, but then who decides that? And then if you let people just have no checks and balances, then people can create fake articles. Like even my mom was sharing with me, she kept on telling me a specific thing that she kept seeing. And I said, well, where did you see that at? And she was saying like all these things. I go, but what platform? She goes, Facebook. And I go, the algorithm knows that you are spending time on these videos and these articles. Mm-hmm. And the algorithm is picking up that Renee likes this. She's spending time reading it. Put more of this in front of Renee.
Yeah.
So that's what's also happening in the world where, if we're using politics as an example, if you are only watching and spending time on Democratic content, media, articles, videos, your favorite left-leaning, you're only going to see things that support that, because Facebook doesn't want to show you anything from the right that might make you not like it and leave their platform, and then now they're losing money.
Right.
So that's the problem. So the same thing in conservative. You spend all your time looking at conservative news, you're not going to see any left-leaning points of view or Democratic points of view, because people most likely don't like that, unless you're in the middle where I have to actively seek out both.
Right.
So mine is curated with both, because I want to see a Democratic view and then a Republican view, a Democratic view and then Republican view. Like I
But
like
even like
going through
outside
those.
of politics too, anytime I'm talking about a product, or maybe I Googled it just one time, literally the next second that ad will be on my Facebook. That exact company that I just Googled. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, they're listening to all that. Yeah.
They're listening to us.
Or if you look up, even if you go to YouTube and you type in like dog greets soldier. If you spend 30 minutes watching dog greet soldier for 30 minutes, video after video, the next few days you will be recommended dog greets soldier. Because it makes sense. They want to show you what you like. Like, I don't want to go onto TikTok if I only see 19-year-old boys doing dances. I'd be like, I don't like this app. Right?
No,
So
I
it makes
know,
sense.
of course.
But yet again, that's where people are arguing, because they're like, what do you do? And it's the same thing on mainstream media. It's like there are people who are like, I'm not watching Fox News, or I'm not watching, CNN, because they know what they're going to get.
Of course.
So it's just this, not fun, really. It's more interesting than fun to see what role Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, what role are they all going to play? And at what point, where do you draw the line, and who's making these decisions?
Well, it's whoever is the head of each company, and whatever they believe, that's what they're going to.
And that's the argument too, because they're saying, well, we're a private company. We can do what we want, which is true. But at the same time, you're so big that
they don't care. They'll say, go make your own platform. Go do what you want. That's literally what happens.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, what people have to do. But then you're going to start just having split platforms.
Well, and I feel like it's going to get to the point where people are really going to have their hub as their own website, because then they can do what they want, say what they want, if it gets to that. I think 90%.
But they're already doing that. But you're using YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as the net
to push.
Like that's what we're eventually going to do.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving out all the content for free, and then you're doing a premium service of your own company that you do a subscription model to. Even the New York Times.
Yeah.
I think to read their newspaper online, you have to pay $20 a month. Right?
The thing with New York Times that always drives me nuts is I'll click on an article on Twitter from New York Times, and I'll start reading it, and then it goes, you have to pay to keep reading. And I'm like, no, I think it's New York Times.
Well, and that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
We experimented with that a little bit with our membership program, where we did at least a bonus episode where we go, let's show a little and then move over. But I don't really like the paywall. I like giving everything for free, but then having something more.
Yeah.
Where if you want to do $10 a month and do something more, you can. But New York Times basically goes, no, you're not getting anything. But they're also the New York Times, and they don't care. So, but that's what everybody is eventually going to do. And then all of a sudden, there's just tons of apps now, and it's also getting a little confusing. I was looking on my TV, and they're like, this new show on Peacock, but I don't pay for Peacock. I'm like, I'm not going to pay. I mean, how many? Paramount Plus, Discovery Plus, Peacock. I mean, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. I mean, the list goes on. What the hell?
It's interesting because I feel like obviously most people use Netflix and they generally have a lot of great stuff. I feel like the past couple months, for my taste per se, there really hasn't been much that I've enjoyed on there. Now, granted, I did read that they're coming out with new movies every single week this summer.
Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix.
I have loved Netflix.
I do too. I do too. I'm just saying the past few months for me personally, there wasn't a ton of content that I wanted to consume. And I ended up pivoting to Discovery Plus because they have all that reality trash shows that I like, you know?
Yeah.
And I started watching. I was like, oh, these are really good. These are up my alley. And then, you know, I remember I watched like Saved by the Bell, which the new class, it might have been Peacock. And I had tried that at one point, then I canceled it. But I feel like we're getting to the point where we're so used to having so much stimulation that we're like, this isn't enough. This isn't enough. What else can I watch? And that's why all of these different streaming services are like, hey, we're going to offer you guys whatever you want and someone will come. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Disney Plus, HBO, and Netflix, probably Hulu, are the leading.
Yeah.
Like Paramount and all of them, like I eventually think it'll be bundled. I remember Andrew Schultz said that when we were in Pasadena. He goes, eventually, these are all going to break off into 100, 200 different apps. Or I don't remember what he said. Now this is me talking. But like I think there's going to be 100 different things. And then there's going to be a conglomerate, which Amazon's already doing, where it's like I think Stars, Showtime is all included. Yeah. So eventually a Netflix, an Amazon, a Disney, someone is probably going to buy Peacock, Paramount, True, or who knows, so that when you pay $155 for Netflix, you get them all. And now you're back to cable. Right. So instead of channel 247, it's Netflix, Hulu. Now they each have a name because we stopped I guess we said that. It's on TBS at 7 o'clock. Yeah. It's on NBC. But what also is going to happen, which is I'm excited about, is they're also going to start picking up individuals. Because we're going to carry a heavy load of subscribers and viewers as well.
Content, yeah.
So imagine Netflix as they're scooping everything up, and in 5 years we're big enough to be a contender. They might say, hey, Freddie and Alyssa, we're going to pay you X amount for a 3 years exclusive to bring all your content over to Netflix. So then we can just say, hey, we're on Netflix. Yeah. So all of our viewers who are paying $10 a month or watching for free, it all goes to Netflix. We get paid. They own us for 3 years, but we get that platform.
Right.
And they're going to start, I think, picking up different creators.
Yeah.
Because people are doing that. How many subscriptions are there to the New York Times or all these different video platforms that people are doing?
Yep.
So it's just scattered. But it also goes back to my point that, like, you and I don't need 1 million people. You just have to find like 10,000 super fans that in the world, out of 7 billion, just 10,000 super fans who want to go on a journey and create contact and self-fund at $10 is $1 million business where you can have your own productions, make your own movies, like do all the stuff. So I think the idea back in the day is that Tom Cruise was loved by 100 million people. Because you either were loved by 100 million and you were a star, or you were just nobody.
Yep.
In the content creation world, I'm saying, or in the film world.
Yeah.
But for us now, a musician just needs to find 10,000 people that will ride with them. We just need to find 10,000 people that will ride with us.
Well, and it's just funny, though, when you have exposure, because I, funny enough, started watching on Netflix last night, The Circle. Have you heard of that? It's a new reality series where all of these contestants go into the house and they're all kind of competing and playing this game because they each are living in their own apartment in the same building. So they can't see one another. They're just texting. So they can pretend, like this one woman was pretending to be her husband, and the whole goal is to be the last one standing and win $100K. So it's like more of a social game, social experiment. But they had this girl, Chloe, from Too Hot to Handle. Remember that Netflix reality show?
Yes.
And I had looked her up on Instagram because I love seeing, the following of what they've built. And she had 1.5 million followers. And Chloe was on The Circle. So it brought all of those followers, the 1.5 million, to watch The Circle, Yes. And it's just so crazy to see how, now granted, I don't know if she's a content creator, but it's just interesting to see how, because she had that platform, she now has 1.5 million followers who she probably can easily get the, what is it, 10,000 you said?
Well, it depends on what people want to do. There are 3 ways to do this. One, you are a personality like this girl, 1.5 million, doesn't do anything with it. But people know if you hire her in a movie or a show, she's going to bring for free 1.5 million, ideally, not all 1.5 million, but just for hypothetically.
Maybe half of it.
We'll bring them over and they'll get that viewership. And now Netflix, or if it's a TV show, can charge advertising on those viewers. But she's getting paid as an employee based on her numbers. That's number one, is that you build like how we would in acting. If we go, we're not going to do a podcast, we're not going to post pictures, partner with brands, nothing. We're not going to do any subscription model. We're just going to keep putting out content for free, building our following up so that a director or a producer will say, you have enough followers for my movie. Let's audition you. You're good. You're in.
Yep.
And I'm hired. Number two is you do what a lot of people are doing, where you work with brands and sponsorships. So you have your 1.5 million, you're not trying to be employed, but you're working with fashion brands, you're putting on a necklace, they're paying you 10,000 for the post, you're doing new sneakers, you're getting free stuff, you're doing that route. Or what I really like is the subscription model. But the 1.5, you're not going to get 1.5 people that are going to pay $5, $10, $15 a month for any premium service. It's a super low percentage.
Yeah.
But if you can build a 10,000, eventually 100,000 person funnel of people who love it, because there's how many people who have Netflix? 150 million. So, and this is the whole chicken and the egg story for us, is that we can provide more value in our membership program when you have more money, because you can put more premium content in that subscription.
Right.
And then we've even had comments where people say, oh, so we're paying you so that you can go do that. And I go, the reason Netflix is making movies is because we're all paying $15 a month.
Yeah.
If we all stop paying, Netflix closes.
Yeah.
Our $15 trust every month, they're taking that billions and billions of dollars per month and paying Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, all these people, and making these films. Yeah. So but the more we build that $10 a month, we're going to use that money to eventually make Unplugged if we have to, if we don't sell it, to make our own short little mini series. Like, we're going to create our own Netflix on a smaller scale. Right. And then all it takes is one big movie for big people to get interested, and then you're a player in the game. And if not, we get to still do our podcast and our vlogs and still make a living doing what we love. So it's not an all or nothing. Netflix is an all or nothing, and they've won. But these are just some things that are really like going on, and and it's a whole big industry, and it's, you know, it's just like how the film industry was back in the day, but it's completely changed.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really fun to see how it all goes. But I know you have to get going, so we have to cut this short.
I know, guys. I'm so sorry on our 3rd anniversary, too. But I have an appointment, you know, places to go, people to see.
People to see. And then I'm going to go on after I edit this, I'm going to go on a very long hike.
You are?
Yes.
A hike around the neighborhood?
A hike around the neighborhood. I'm going to get my steps in. So it's going to be really great. And we love you all so much. Yeah. Thank you for being on this journey with us. We just crossed the 3-year checkpoint, and this is so cool. So thank you all so much. We're wishing you the most fabulous week ever.
Yes.
And we will see you soon.